man.
Yeah. Marcos.
Fish tacos. What'd you get?
Carne asada.
Oh. Hey, guys. Sorry. We're just sucked into our delicious tacos here. Happy Cinco de Mayo. I don't know what you guys have done today, but we're having some tacos. Sorry, we're so rude. Eating on camera.
I can't help it. I like it too much.
I'm just going to sit here so people can look at it and drool. All right?
Marcos is still open, and they're really busy,
Still
if
open.
you're wondering.
It's good. I'm going to have, it's kind of a weird combo. I got some cold brew. Jessica got it from Costco. We're not, I don't know, they're not sponsoring us or anything, but so I don't know if the pairing of fish tacos and cold brew, but.
I got a Mexican Coke.
See, that's more
from
like
Marcos.
it. That's more like it.
It was really good, for sure. Absolutely.
Well, hey, guys, thanks for joining us. Week 8, we're switching things up a little bit today. Andrew's joining me for the whole thing. We're going to co-teach and kind of co-host Thrive Live Week 8. And we switched locations. We started this Atypical series like we talked about. And we moved to our name wall. And I love the symbolism of this, just reminding us that of our Thrive family. So as you guys are at home, you have your physical family, you have your school family, all these families, but we are definitely a family here at Thrive. So all these names, I don't know if your name's on it or not, but you're represented even if it's not here. Okay, you're part of us. You're watching. Thank you for tuning in faithfully. We got, 31 people? Awesome. I don't know how you guys did on that Cinco de Mayo quiz, but it was just some fun. I mean, it's interesting, just not their Independence Day. You know, often Americans, we just celebrate. I did about celebrating, so I thought it'd be fun to do some trivia and actually see what it's about.
Yeah, for sure. I didn't do so good on it. I was looking at a couple of them. I got the flag one right at the end.
Nice.
Red, white, and green, absolutely. That was one of the only ones I got right, probably.
I hear you. Well, let's jump into some announcements. What do we got? What do you got for us, Andrew?
So a few things that we want to announce to you guys. First is we want to mention that you guys can text at Thrive for Me to 81010 and join the Thrive text line. We have a lot of things coming through on that, announcements and just things that we're doing each week. One of those things that we're doing is Mother's Day is coming up this Sunday. It's May 10th, 11th, 10th.
I believe it's the 10th.
10th.
Next Sunday. This Sunday.
Day before my 1-year anniversary.
Whoa, that's fun.
I know.
Nice.
Crazy. I didn't forget. That's the important part.
Yeah, we're going to make a video for next week to honor your mothers, all right? So I need your help. Okay? You have to actually do something for me, all right? So I want you to finish that prompt. You see it at the bottom of the screen, but it says, send your video this Mother's Day. I want my mom to know, all right? So send me a video, a short video. You can use that number that Andrew just showed you, text that number. You can send it through Facebook, Instagram, text your leader, email it to me. There's so many ways we communicate. You guys are communication pros, all right? But send those to us, and we want to have an awesome video. If you could send the video and then send a selfie of you and your mom, all right? Send a selfie of you and your mom or a mom figure in your life, depending, we talked about families. We sent out that survey. We know that every family isn't just a typical family. You have different structures, different makeup. So whoever's been that mom figure in your life, maybe it's a grandma, send us a video of you finishing that prompt and then a picture, a selfie of you and your mom. So if you could do that, we would love it. If I don't get any in a couple days, I'm going to start texting you and
we're going to bug you a lot, for sure.
I can't show up to the door, right? But
yeah, I'll
throw stuff at your window. I don't know. So do it.
Classic.
I think it'll be really
rock
fun.
at the window.
Your moms will love it.
Nice. Hey, Caleb, quick question about that too.
Yes.
With all this tech things happening and us wanting to show those videos, should they film it landscape, portrait? What do you want?
Great question. So I know most of us, we hold our phones naturally in portrait mode, all right? But I want to go landscape mode, all right? So I hold that camera sideways. That way when you watch it on YouTube, on your screen, if you put it on your TV screen for your mom, it's full screen, all right? So
good plan.
Point.
I like it. Okay, we actually have a couple more announcements. Next one that we're going to talk about is we're going to do a really fun rock, paper, scissors tournament. Absolutely. Again, submit some videos of you doing this. 3 rounds of it. Whatever you get, doesn't matter. Rock. I just did scissors for rock.
What are you doing?
Rock, paper, scissors. I know how to do symbols. Again, video yourself landscape and send it in to your leader, to Caleb over Instagram, Facebook, at Thrive for Me, whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
And get it into us, and we'll have a whole bracket full of tournaments that Caleb's going to set up for us to watch and enjoy, and it'll be entertaining. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah. So
see if
it's
there
fun 'cause,
actually is a winner.
You don't know who you're going against, so you're doing 3 rounds just in case there's a tie.
Yeah.
But we'll go ahead tournament bracket style, and that brings me to next week. We're going to introduce the Amazon Wheel of Treasure. All right. So I spent some time this week looking at. I mean, there's some weird stuff on Amazon, but I went through and just found some fun, oddball stuff. And so I'm not gonna. I thought about showing you guys what it all is, but there's some fun stuff on Amazon. So
It's a secret.
yeah, it's a secret. So we're gonna have an actual a prize wheel next week.
Sweet.
And we'll put the prizes on there, and then whoever wins that rock paper scissors challenge, we'll spin it for you, and then you'll get a prize from Amazon delivered to your door.
Awesome.
I can't guarantee 2 days because that's the world we're in, but you will get it. And then just send us a picture of you using it or a video of it, just because they're going to be hilarious. So I'm excited for that.
Hopefully, it's not something really strange.
No guarantees.
But I guess you'll find out.
No guarantees. Yeah, I won't. I'll let the anticipation build. All right. And I had some requests from some of you. You wanted some quarantine quests again, and so we're going to think through some ideas. I'm asking your leaders,
Absolutely.
what are some good ideas for some challenges? Maybe not a full, series of challenges, but maybe just something we say, hey, here's a challenge for the week for an opportunity to spin the prize wheel. So look for those.
I feel like this prize wheel is going to be a big hit.
I think so. I think it's going to be awesome. There's some comments coming in.
Be cool.
Fun stuff like Greece. I don't know what that means, Seth. There's some. I mean, it's always fun looking down at these comments, and like it can just throw you off. Not gonna lie, but I'm glad you guys are chatting with each other. Oh man,
Nice.
So this week we pre-record everything, so we're gonna have smooth sailing technology wise. All right, Andrew is the man. He's helping
Fingers
me out.
crossed.
So we're not doing any live Zoom, but we did do some stuff earlier tonight. We called some of you.
Yeah.
And we. If you've heard of it, it's called the Whisper Challenge. You've probably heard on Jimmy Fallon. He does it. Some fun late night shows. So what's going to happen here is we recorded some of you. We'll introduce each student as we go, and what they do is we did a Zoom call, and then we muted our mic, and so they are just trying to read our lips of what we're saying, and then we said how many can get through in a minute. All right, which is harder than you think. And so I think it's going to be fun enough that we'll bring it back. I think you'll see it at the end, but it was a blast. You'll be able to hear all of us. It's just the person on the video, they can't hear. So that's the premise. You want to introduce our first one? It's the one you started with, I think.
Absolutely.
I think it's Danny, if you want to get him queued up. Where's Danny? Danny's a freshman.
Danny is a freshman. Yeah. Let me pull out. We actually made some notes so we didn't forget stuff.
So I kind of failed. Typically, I mean, Youth Ministry 101, when you have an upfront game, you introduce you, the student, so everyone gets to know you and something about you. And so I kind of just totally forgot that in our video. So I asked our leaders to send in some stuff that they've noticed about each of these contestants. And so we can just say some really nice things about you. And so we're going to pull those up and we'll kind of read those as we go.
Yeah. Yeah, it's good. So these are some compliments about the people that you'll be seeing in this video, in this game. So we're going to start off with Danny. Danny is a freshman. People say that he is willing to try things. He's athletic, and he's great at helping people, great at helping lead worship, playing bass and drums and stuff like that. So they appreciate his kind of willingness to serve in that area. And he has a great personality. Sorry, just looking for all the stuff.
Yeah. No, I've been really impressed with you, Danny. Just loved your involvement, jumping right in. I know you. I mean, it's a bummer you didn't get to do baseball, but you were set to play, and so a great young man. So with that, here is Danny's attempt at the Whisper Challenge.
Thrive Live is awesome.
The right flag is awesome.
No. Oh. Close. Thrive Live.
Laugh?
No. Thrive.
Drive.
No. Thrive.
Thrive.
Yes. Thrive.
Wow, I'm really bad at this.
Live.
Live Thrive is awesome.
Yes.
Okay, I'm really bad at this.
That's good. Okay. SpongeBob SquarePants.
SpongeBob is something.
No. SpongeBob SquarePants.
I don't know.
SpongeBob.
SpongeBob.
Yeah. SquarePants. Oh.
I'm really bad at reading lips.
That's okay. That was the end of the minute.
Yeah.
So you got 1.5. Thrive Live
Yeah,
is awesome.
I
And
figured. I'm really bad at this.
that's okay. It's okay. SpongeBob SquarePants was the second one. Close.
Oh.
Close. Yeah.
Okay.
Thrive Live is awesome.
All right, there it is. I don't know if we should have done one where we actually have you, the audience, guess. That's what we'll do next time, where we'll say that and we'll see who can actually type it in and guess. But good job, Danny. So he got what? We said 1.5.
1.5. Yeah. Got SpongeBob of the SpongeBob SquarePants. I don't know how you complete SquarePants without SpongeBob.
So in
But
the moment,
that's good.
there's so much pressure.
Yeah.
All right, so next up we have David Huggins. He's a sophomore, and we had a lot of great leaders notice a lot of great things as him. We reminded about his athletic skill just with cross country. He's involved with the Boy Scouts.
Boy Scouts. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just became an Eagle Scout.
He just became an Eagle Scout and got that letter. from the
Congratulations,
president. Yeah. And they notice your respect, you're kind, how they appreciate how you set goals goals for yourself to grow, and how you love to serve. So those are some great things that people notice about you, David. Is anything else I missed here?
He's a hard worker.
He is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, Melinda pointed out she always loves how you make her feel welcome when she comes to Thrive.
Yeah.
So we love it when students are the ones making us feel welcome when we walk through those doors, which we'll be walking through again, I promise.
Yes.
Soon.
We hope
All right,
so.
we can't
Anyway.
All right, so with that, here is David's attempt at the Whisper Challenge. Obi-Wan Kenobi. Obi-Wan Kenobi. Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yes, good work. Baby Yoda. Baby Yoda. Baby Yoda. Baby.
Padme.
Baby. Baby Yoda. Baby Yoda.
I don't know.
Nothing? Baby Yoda. All right. To infinity and beyond. To infinity and beyond. To
Two.
infinity,
Infinite.
infinity,
Jewelry.
to infinity
Two infinite.
and beyond.
Last word.
That's time. That was to infinity and beyond.
Oh.
Obi-Wan Kenobi.
It started over.
Oops, start over me there. Good job, David. You started on the Star Wars track and you couldn't get off with the Padme.
Yeah.
But
Baby Yoda, Padme,
it's in the family, I guess.
both better than Jar Jar.
Ooh, May the 4th was yesterday, and
True.
the latest Star Wars came out on Disney Plus. If any of you guys are on Disney Plus,
Yes.
But yeah, Jessica and I.
So
Jessica
exciting.
had never seen the full Star Wars saga.
Okay, Mariah has never seen a single Star Wars movie ever.
Not one.
Not one.
Yikes!
I know. It's crazy.
Wow.
I love my wife. I'm not trying to diss her on Thrive Live. I'm just saying, not one Star Wars movie.
I'm not gonna. So I will spoil it. Jessica never knew how the actual, like she had watched, I think, some of the original ones, but she never saw the last one, like the famous line of
Yeah.
the father line, you know?
Oh,
And so, like,
gosh.
it like completed the picture for her. And then, so we watched all of them, and now we just need to watch, I think we have to watch Solo, and we have to watch the last one, and then we'll be done watching
Nice.
all of them. Because I haven't seen the latest Star Wars.
You haven't seen it,
I
latest
haven't
one?
seen it.
Oh,
So I'm
I
excited.
thought it was okay. This might be a heated discussion here, but I thought it was the best of the newest three. Okay,
Nice.
some people say that it was not that great, and it wasn't stellar, but it was. I thought it was the best of the newest three.
Nice. I thought Rogue One was pretty good. I mean,
I also liked Rogue One.
when you kind of
Yeah.
know the idea that they're all going to, like, none of them survive.
I know,
and
yeah,
still be able to get a good story out of it. It was
Okay.
good.
I watched that entire movie and did not understand that it was like the prequel to Episode 4 until after it was over, and I was like, "Wait a second, now I understand what's going on."
We'll stop geeking out for you guys. All right.
Yeah.
All right. So next up we have Destiny, and Destiny. A lot of great compliments for you. We see you up leading worship, and we've all been very impressed to see your
Yeah.
growth there. I mean, Andrew and I getting to lead with you, just seeing your growth, your courage, and stepping out and leading and growing in your voice, but also just showing your heart and your love for worship and for God is fantastic. Anything you want to add from those that
Yeah.
leaders sent in?
You're just a great team leader, as what some other people were saying about you, and you have a great heart for people. And we see that, and we appreciate that, and we definitely notice all the things that you do to show those things and use your gifts and talents. So thanks, Destiny.
Yeah, being brave and willing to share what the Lord puts on your heart. That is a
Yeah,
fantastic
absolutely.
thing to have under your name. So here is Destiny's attempt at the Whisper Challenge.
Cool beans,
Really?
dude.
Cool beans to
Dude.
June?
Dude.
Jude?
Cool beans, dude.
Cool beans Jude.
Dude.
Oh, cool beans dude.
Yes, nice work. Okay,
Okay. Oh my gosh.
pumpkin spice latte.
Puppies smell lucky.
Pumpkin spice latte. Pumpkin.
Puppies.
Pumpkin.
Pumpkin.
Spice latte.
Spice latte.
Yes.
Pumpkin spice latte.
Oh, that's time. All right, nice work. So you got two
Jeez.
in the minute. Nice work. Cool beans.
All right. I think the best line of that is, what was it? Puppies smell lucky?
Puppies smell lucky. Yeah.
You should get a prize just for thinking that was on a piece of paper.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a good one. I'm gonna
I
keep
mean,
that.
I don't think she's wrong.
That's true.
Does anybody disagree with that?
There you go. I mean, it's legit.
Yeah.
Oh, that's it. So she got 2. So I think she's leading right now.
Yeah, she's leading right now, for sure.
Because Danny got 1.5. David got 1.
David got 1. Danny got 1.5.
Yep.
Destiny got 2.
So our next contestant. Why don't you introduce our next contestant?
Absolutely. Next contestant is Maddie Blaha. She's a freshman, and she is, some good things that people say about her is that she's super enthusiastic, she's kind-hearted, and they notice that she is really dedicated to theater and to her horse, and really just strong in her commitments. So we kind of see those things from you, Maddie, and appreciate those things about you. Caleb, do you have anything to
Yeah.
add to that?
I mean, just a competitor, right? Just loves to get in there
Yeah.
and play hard and commit and just get involved. And I've been actually really encouraged by you, Maddie. Just after messages and from camps, and just your willingness to even encourage me as a youth pastor has blessed my heart. And often it's easy for me to, get in my own head. But when you
Yeah.
guys are encouraging, it's it's refreshing. So Maddie, thank you for that. I think you get that gift from your mom because she's pretty awesome at that too. So
Yeah.
let's see how Maddie does at the Whisper Challenge.
Hot potato. Hot,
I'm old.
hot,
Hi.
hot, 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 hot,
I see you.
hot,
4?
hot, hot,
So confused.
cold,
Cold.
Cold.
I have no idea what you're saying.
Okay, next one. Cinco.
Jello.
Cinco.
Hello.
Cinco de Mayo. Cinco de
So
Mayo.
bad at this.
Cinco. Cinco.
Hold.
Cinco. Cinco.
Old.
Okay, that was a minute.
Oh my goodness, I'm so bad at this.
That's okay. That's okay. Hot potato.
I gotta turn that looping feature off. That was hilarious. I'm old.
I know. I don't know if that's like a reflection on me,
Yeah, was she looking at you, or like
I know.
you just thought that's what you'd be saying?
and I'm not sure if that should worry me or not.
That's you, not me. All right. Makes me feel good. All right, so good attempt, Maddie. You added great
absolutely.
entertainment value. Okay, that is something to count for. It's important in youth
Yes.
group, all right? Being able to get in there and just have fun. So,
Yeah, I could not keep together
That was
during that. It was really funny.
Jello.
So good, so good.
All right, so we got one more. The last one is a leader. I have Julie, and so I didn't put her name on the list for leaders to send encouraging stuff, but man, I have appreciated Julie so much through this time. She's been a great support to me, and she's so organized and offers a lot of just support to our team and encouragement, and just kind of thinking through details and doing some of that admin stuff for us. And so I know Julie. She was roommates with my wife when we were in college, so we go way back. So it's such a privilege to get to serve with Julie. I don't know if you had anything about Julie.
Yeah, I really appreciate Julie's ability to connect with people, especially with me and Frosty being newer senior guy leaders. And she's always definitely committed to her students. I know her girls love her and really appreciate all the work that she does for them. And I've really gotten to enjoy spending time with Julie and getting to know her better over the past few years that I've been here. So, yeah, thanks, Julie, for being a rock star. Absolutely.
Awesome. Julie's awesome. All right, let's see how she does at the Whisper Challenge.
Bubble gum. Bubble
Gum?
gum. Bubble. Bubble.
Bubble gum?
Bubble gum.
Yes.
Yes. John the Baptist. John the Baptist.
I have no idea. I'm so sorry.
John the Baptist.
John the Baptist?
Yes, nice work. All right, this is a hard one. Sometimes I dream about eggnog.
Why is that so long?
Sometimes
Sometimes
I
I
dream
dream
about
about
eggnog.
I don't
Eggnog.
know.
Eggnog.
I have no idea what the last one is.
Eggnog.
Eggnog?
Yes! Oh, that's timeless. All right, Julie, you got 3 nice bubble.
All right, quick poll. Who loves eggnog? All right.
Oh.
Give me some sort of emoji
Me.
in your comment. All right.
For sure.
I am totally in. I love eggnog. Jessica hates it.
I feel
But
like
I
that
love
happens. Mariah doesn't like it either.
Funny.
Yeah.
All right. So there better be a lot of happy emojis coming through because you love eggnog. All right.
Yeah, if there's not, we might as well just stop the stream now.
Just cut it off.
Yeah.
Done. We'll come back at Christmas and make it try again. No,
We're only going to serve eggnog.
that's going to be the drink when we come back. Our comeback party.
Yeah.
We're gonna if someone finds eggnog,
For sure.
that'd be amazing. All right.
Yeah, we'll have like, what is the moose? Like from the Griswold family Christmas
that's
or whatever.
right,
They have
yes.
the moose glasses. Someone has a moose
That would be
costume.
fantastic.
Yeah.
Though we better be back before Christmas. All right.
Yeah.
It's not going to be that long. Don't worry. We're not going to
Yeah.
go that long. All right. So this has been a ton of fun. I love having you up here with me. It's so much
Yeah,
better
it's
than
great.
just being by myself.
Yeah.
And so I hope you guys like it, this little kind of co-host feel. And so from there, What do we got next? I think that we're going to dive into the talk. So
Let's
what I'm
do
going to
it.
do, we have a little intro video. You have 13 seconds to grab a Bible, grab a notebook, whatever you do. If you're on your phone, I don't know. But we're gonna kind of transition at a time. So here's our transition video, and then we're going to jump into what we got to talk about tonight. All right, there you have it. So last week we started Atypical, and we asked, "What's your family like?" And then we had some comments come through. You talked about normal, not normal, way not normal, crazy. We talked through that. But then I sent you guys a survey. Hopefully, most of you got it. I had like almost 50 of you respond, so that's great. But Andrew and I, we're just going to go through the main question. These are all about family to kind of give us an idea of when we think about our family here at Thrive, what we have, who's involved, and so we can kind of identify with each other and understand that we're not alone. That most people, if we think that we're not so normal, then you're not alone. So we're going to go through the results of these polls. Do you have the first one? What's the first one?
The first one is how many parents do you have, or step parents?
Oh, yeah. I don't have a graphic for that one, but that was just...
That's okay. I didn't actually get to see the results because you saw the results.
Oh, yeah.
But the parents, I'm sure a lot of people, just from talking with you guys, a lot of people have two parents, either step parents or both biological parents. A lot of people have, most of you have two parents in the household, but some of you don't have two parents in the household, and that's just how it is.
Yeah, most of you guys on the survey, you had, most of you have typical, you have your parents together, but we had a few that have one parent, some of them with grandparents, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So the next one, the fun one, man, I put these in the wrong order, guys. I'm sorry. I'm going to jump to the pet one. I'm going to cover that one first.
Great.
And then we'll cover the rest. So
Let's go by what you have.
we start with the fun one. What kind of pet do you have? And of course, I knew you guys love this. The first one was what's it like? And then we had one person say animals are gross. And I'm pretty sure when I sent this link out, I sent it to leaders first. And so I think it's one of our leaders that thinks pets are gross. But only one of you. I thought there might be more. But one of you, so don't riot too much.
It'd be interesting. We probably won't read it, but it'd be interesting to hear who you think the leader is in your comment.
That's
just
true.
just comment it.
Who it is. Who doesn't like animals? All right,
Yeah.
and then the biggest category, of course, was dogs, with 28
course.
dogs in the house.
Yep.
All right. So we love our
In one
our
house,
dogs.
wow.
Yeah, one house. Whew. Next one, we had cats. The next highest with 15. No, that wasn't just one person. Okay, it was. That's,
Hopefully.
you can only answer once. Okay, so we had pets, and some of these families have multiple animals, but there it is.
Yeah.
See, we only had, I think, one bird in the house. So
Interesting.
I've never had a bird.
Me either. No,
Just unless a pair would be kind of cool.
that might be cool.
But-
Cool, yeah.
I don't know what kind of bird you have, whoever that was.
I wonder
It was
if
anonymous.
do you count if you have a bird feeder outside and a bunch of birds come to your house?
No, I just. All right, next one was fish. We got quite a few fish. I had a fish growing up, goldfish. I remember we had them out on the deck, and in the winter, just in this little tub. But in the winter, they'd freeze like a thick layer of ice, and then in the spring, they would still be alive.
Wow,
They would
that's
thaw,
insane.
and they're alive.
I
So,
guess they're cold-blooded.
Yeah.
So
I
makes
remember it was
sense.
being fun to come out and did they make it?
Wow. I had way more than one fish growing up because you know what happens to fish when you grow up.
They go to the farm. Next one, lizards. We had 0 lizards. Though I think there was a snake I saw, so I should have lumped those together. But I know some of you those. They kind of creep me out, honestly. But I know people that like them. And then we had, what do we have next? Hamsters. 2 hamsters in the house. Did you have a
Hamsters.
hamster?
No, my sister had mice at one point.
Ooh, yeah, my sister had a rat.
They were really small. One mouse ate another mouse.
What?
I know.
Cannibal mice.
I did not
Freaky.
think that was a thing.
Jeez. Yeah, I had a hamster, and again, the same deck where the fish froze. One day it was out there, and it decided to try its hand at parachuting without a parachute. Jumped off the deck about 2 stories.
Oh my gosh.
But I went down to find it, and it would actually, I couldn't find it, so it actually survived the fall and then crawled off.
That's
then-
so sad.
Died. Sad. We don't talk about
I
that.
wonder. We should have maybe included like gerbils or
Right.
what's the other one? I don't remember. I know Mariah had.
Hedgehog?
Oh yeah,
I don't know.
I think Mariah had a gerbil growing up.
Nice. Lastly, we had other categories. So we had quite a few. We had cows, chickens, ducks.
Yeah, yeah.
All you guys on the farm, the horse.
Horses.
So we had a lot of those that were fun that came in. So
Yeah.
there you go. You guys have pets in common, all right? Most of us, except one of you, like animals.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't,
Gosh.
personally, we live with we have my parents' dog, but otherwise, I just know everyone else's pets. So I don't
Yeah.
have to smell them.
Yeah. Except for puppies, because they smell lucky.
Yeah, exactly. So let's talk about siblings. I actually have the graph here.
Great. Yeah, that's awesome. So as you can see, pie charts are nice. Except for I don't know which
not doing
which
it. I'm
numbers
so
correlate to
sorry.
which.
Guys, we
I
were
would
kind of prepared,
Assume
but I have
that
it here.
34% is like 2 or more.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the blue 2% was zero.
Zero
so there's
siblings.
only
Single
only
child.
childs, all right?
Okay.
And then we had with one sibling at the 15%, and
Cool.
2 siblings at 34, 3 siblings, and then 4 or more was 23%.
Wow.
So
That's
I guess
pretty
I'll just cover
equal.
these. That way I don't just keep making you guess on numbers.
That's okay. I think it's interesting that once you have 3, having more than 3 is about the same as having 3.
Right.
So it's like it's like a threshold. 3 more than 3, they're like the same.
All right, next one, family disagreements. All right, so this one we also had a lot in common, but the question was like as far as time, when the last time you had a disagreement. So we had most coming in at 34%, which was today. You had an argument today.
Wow.
Whatever day you took the survey. So it was fresh. All right, and then 19% was yesterday. 28% said this week. And 9% over a week since family disagreement. But I think we've all identified we have disagreements in family, especially now, close proximity, quarantine.
Yeah,
It's going to get
absolutely.
dicey sometimes.
Yeah.
Then we have here economics. All right. So when we think about family, I
Other
put
family
this in
members.
here just because, like the money that we have. And
Yeah.
we're going to have a few stories later that talk about, we're going to talk about prayer tonight and how God provides. But for those families where we don't know how ends are going to meet, God enters in. But most of you said average, about 80% when you think about your family. And then we had 15% say probably poor on the lower end. And then we had 5% that say probably on the wealthier side, where they, God's blessed their parents with good jobs and wealth, and that's great. And so sometimes we go too far and we gauge, blessing off, how much money we have. That's not the case. But I put this up there just so we identify that we know there's people that feel like they, poor and some wealthy and a lot of average. So
Yeah, absolutely.
let's see, last one I think here. Oh, yes, the normal question again. So how do you look at your family? How would you categorize this? And so
Yeah.
biggest category at 44% was pretty normal, but a little quirky.
I definitely agree with that. That's the one I clicked.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you noticed, no one's normal. Okay, if you say that, we know you're lying.
I really want to know, though, like, what other people would say your family is like. Would they say they're pretty normal? Would they say
what
that you're
other
like
people say.
super weird?
So what I said, about 37% agreed. Normal on the outside, not so normal inside. So when you look at family, that's where it's all like, oh, they're normal. But if they really knew, man, they're messed
absolutely.
up. 15% said not so normal. And then we had 5% say too normal. We're just boring. All right.
Yeah.
Nothing ever happens. We don't do anything. So there you have it, guys. Just some little insight into that we can identify with each other.
Yeah.
That we have normal families and not so normal families. There's, when we think typical, we got to kind of change our definition.
Yeah.
So next, we're actually going to break down. We're going to look at some different family structures, and often for many of us, if we grew up with, or if we have two parents and kind of that standard what we think family looks like. but we're going to go through a couple different ones and kind of talk about what it looks like, maybe some scenarios when we enter a conflict, when things don't go well, how do we respond? So I want you to think through these scenarios with us, and how would I respond? What advice would I give? I want us to do this exercise just to think through other situations. I'm sure you have friends that fit into each of these. So maybe as we list these, think about who do you know that is in this situation, and how do you identify with them? How do you bring your family? Are you expecting them to act like your family does, or do they approach life differently? And that's really important for us, I think, as we look at family, to understand where our friends come from, where others around us come from. So first one, I think, do you have the first one?
I do have the first one,
Take us
yeah.
away.
Yeah, so we definitely, like Caleb said, there's a lot of different family types out there. You guys know, we know. First one we kind of wanted to address is just foster families. There's a lot of people out there that foster kids, and that's an awesome thing to do. But sometimes there's hard things that come along with that. Like, for instance, you could have this family who they can't have kids of their own, so they choose to foster, which that's already hard on them. But then the kids that they bring into their house are they're struggling with their own things, like losing their own parents, or not even being able to know their parents, or their parents died and left them as an orphan when they were really little, and that can leave people super hurt and confused and angry. And like in a particular circumstance, you have one child whose parents could be getting deported from the country, and you're fostering them. And then you have another child who their parents died and left them as an orphan, and they're both just angry and so confused and going through different things at the same time, being in middle school, high school age, and it's just causing a lot of problems with your family. So how do you even address that as a family together?
Yeah. What do you guys think? I mean, how do you approach that? When conflict comes up, but
for sure.
But knowing, I think, when we have just the system that is there, that there's often trauma and hurts that have when we at the surface, like, wow, why is that so hard? But we don't know what's underneath, and the struggle that the family often faces going through that together. But it's amazing the families that do foster care and stepping into that and loving on children and young adults, and it's a great thing.
I think definitely, too, for foster families, a big portion of it is just patience and grace. Like, they might not necessarily even appreciate the parents' advice or counseling or anything, but just really trying to make sure that to point them to God's word whenever possible. There's several examples of orphans in the Bible, or people whose parents left them, or just people whose parents died, and all these different circumstances. And the Bible talks about a lot of things. So definitely pointing family members to that is super important.
The next family we're going to look at is the blended family, all right? And so I know that some of this is where you guys are at. And so I want us to think through early on in that, where a family goes through a divorce. And it's just so heartbreaking. It's so hard because often when we're young, man, we feel like we have to take sides. We feel like there's all that tension, and often that comes out where we get angry, right? We're either angry at mom or the new stepdad or new stepmom, and that can be really hard to go through that. And so thinking through that situation where you have a couple kids where some are starting, think about if they're in elementary school and they're really dealing with this fresh, what would you tell them? What would you tell them to do when they're feeling that anger towards their family being disrupted, and a lot of tough questions that come out, and where do they go to from there, all right? And so we all respond to those differently. I have lots of friends that have gone through that, and it's hard. It's not easy. And it's like, often we end up asking, like, where's God in all of this, all right? And we either take God out of the picture, or we allow that anger to set in. And so just think about that if there are friends that have it, that, man, there's a lot of those emotions they need to deal with and sort through. And sometimes we stuff them down and they come out weird ways, and we got to be aware of how those come out.
Yeah, for sure. The next kind of family we're going to talk about is single-parent households. Some of you guys answered this before. You only have one parent. And there's a lot of families out there that are like that. And you may be dealing with that right now, or may eventually deal with that in the future, or just run into other people who are in that current lifestyle. And that can be a real challenge for a lot of people, especially if you have multiple children. You have your one parent who's trying to work hard and raise money for the family, and then their kids, they're trying to raise their kids, going through their life, and then what often ends up happening is like the oldest kind of takes on this parent mentality,
Right.
you know, and they help try to bring up their younger siblings, and they start working and try to start providing for the family a little bit, which definitely causes a lot of resentment and a lot of just kind of anger that builds up in people, and kind of thinking, what would it be like to be in that situation? You know, would you feel the same way if you were that oldest sibling and you had to try to provide for your younger siblings because you only had one parent and they were doing the best they can, but it's not really meeting ends? So it's really important, I think, to kind of put yourself in their shoes and understand what they're feeling.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, what would you do? I mean, if you had struggling with that authority, or if you had the authority, or you had somebody who's trying to step into a parent role that you're like, you're not my parent, but
Yeah.
that changes how you, that relational dynamic for sure.
Definitely. And even just how if you are the oldest trying to provide for your younger siblings as well, then your single parent still is trying to discipline you or talk to you, and then what do you do then? You feel like you're helping them raise your siblings and you're still being talked to as a child. That's some difficult situations.
I think you said that before, but just, man, we need so much grace.
Yeah.
For single
absolutely.
parents and for siblings. I mean, that's hard. Next one is kind of the independent kids. All right. So sometimes we have parents who work really hard at their jobs, and I mean, their heart is to provide. But sometimes that means that mom and dad, they're off working 10, 15 hours a day. And so kids are kind of left on their own, kind of to figure things out. So think of like a 15 and a 17-year-old, okay, two kids at home. And they're maybe used to that arrangement where they kind of set their own schedule, they get things done, you know, they're responsible. But maybe the distance causing some strain on the relationship, because it's like they're just always gone. They don't have the opportunity to work out some of those things. And so while parents want to provide financially, they kind of hide those emotions of maybe how much they miss their parents, or feeling like they're abandoned. And that's hard, right? That balance.
Yeah.
And so what would you guys do in that? How do you step into that? How do you improve communication? Or, at what point do you need to ask, like, hey, I need more time, right? How do we get creative in having family time, or showing, being real about what we feel? I think it's so important, that communication piece in the midst of, when we have different seasons of life that we have to take care of business.
Absolutely.
Last one
we're going to talk about is friendship family, which definitely is characteristic of a lot of people here at Thrive. You guys create your own friendships and a second family away from home. And there's people that you choose to spend your time with and get really close with and intentional with on purpose. And that's definitely a place that can, struggles can rise up, and especially when you, like take Thrive, for example, you get really close with some friends here, and then all of you guys, seniors, you might not want to think about this, but you're going to graduate, and some of you who are your really close friends are going to move on. They're going to go out of state or across the state, or just even out of town, and it seems like they're so far away. And then you feel like things are breaking up and things are not the way they used to be, and that just causes a lot of sorrow and distress and confusion. So just imagine being in that position. Maybe this one could be really personal for you, and things are kind of happening that way. You're starting to feel this friendship family breaking up. How do you enter into that with grace and communication, like we're talking about, and how do you talk with them about how to fix these things and what to do next? Do you just let it go, or?
Yeah. I think it's so often too with when it's friends, where if we're coming from a harder, maybe it stems from one of these other families where we have a single parent, or there's divorce, and we're turning to our friends to really find that support that we need, and we find similarities, but drama, right? I mean, we can't avoid drama. There's boyfriends, breakups, friends. There's where we feel we get hurt, and we miscommunicate or we misunderstand, and so there's a lot of, what do we do with drama? And you guys don't drama. But that point, like you're saying, when we move on, what sticks? How deep is that? And how do we go from that?
Yeah, how much are you guys going to really choose to stick with it, for sure?
So I think, as you think through those, if you were here, we would have had you break up into groups and we would have given each of your group one of these scenarios and actually talk through what advice would you give? And so usually we're going to speak from our own experience, right? We're going to speak through what we know in our family structures. But since you've heard those, hopefully that gives you some approach of, okay, I know this friend is there. Maybe I could ask them, get to know like some of those deeper questions of how they would deal with a certain scenario. Or what advice they would give you coming from their perspective when you have conflict or stuff come up. So, so hopefully that's some food for thought for you as we kind of continue to talk about atypical and typical families.
Yeah, it's definitely just a kind of thought-provoking topic to understand that, honestly, no family is a typical family because everybody always has their own situation. Everybody's always has their own family that they're in, and typical really is nothing more than what we see all the time. So for the people who are in single parent households or friendship family or anything like that, their typical family is what we just listed and what we just talked about. That's what's normal, and what you see all the time is what is typical. Yeah. So I think that's kind of what we want to talk about more tonight, and just going through this series on what an atypical family is. If you don't know what atypical means, A means not, or the opposite of. So it's the opposite of typical or not typical. Right? And sometimes we really let people define what we think is normal or typical. Like I said, we just kind of go with the flow, and what we see all the time really becomes what typical is and what we think it should be. But like we said last week, no matter what kind of family you come from, no family's typical. Yeah. Your family is already atypical because everybody's already in their own situation. Right. But we want to ask you the question again of, what if God is calling your family to be even more atypical than what it already is, and be even more counter what everybody says is normal than it already is? Absolutely. I think when we're real, when we recognize, okay, we're atypical already, like we're not normal, but often I think what we want to do is now set apart. If we're going to say God, if we love God, if we say He's a part of our life, something should be different, right? We should stand out as Christians, and sometimes we make that all about us, where my actions, regardless of, outside of, you're at school, your parents aren't there, so there's a lot of times when you're outside of your family, but family is important. And often in our culture, we see family get kind of torn apart. In the church, we know the value of family. Even though, like we looked at Adam and Eve, and there's stories of tough families, but it's important of the family we have physically, but also as believers, we have a broader family. Again, looking at this wall, we have a broader family, all right? So every family has imperfections, problems, struggles, and we're going to say it's typical families either try to handle those problems on their own or they never handle them, all right? So typical families handle struggle on their own or not at all when those come up, right? So what would an atypical family be? Yeah, atypical, they're kind of the opposite of that. When instead of just handling things on their own, they approach God and bring their issues to God, and all their imperfections and their feelings and the emotions and the struggles that they go through, they really cast that on God and invite Him in through prayer and discussion, and invite Him into those situations. Like last week, we said there is no family that's too simple. There's no family that's too complex for God to use. He uses everybody. He uses every family. And your family, too, can be used to do atypical things in the world. But how? That's kind of what we want to approach tonight. So how do we do that? So I asked some of our leaders, and you're going to hear from one tonight. You're going to hear from Stephanie, because ultimately, if we're going to invite God in and be like, hey, we're going to be atypical. We're not going to do what typical families do. We're going to commit to this and allow God to work. We're going to invite Him in. Often that comes in the form of prayer. And that's going to be the big idea tonight, that not so typical families, they pray together. And so I wanted to hear some stories, because I think often when we think of prayer, we think, oh man, we get nervous. Like, do you hate praying out loud? And if you're terrified of praying in groups, or if you pray, like, I don't know what words to use. I need to sound so lofty, or it's just one-sided conversation. So what does it actually look like
to pray and to invite God in. What does it actually look like? So I wanted to give you a lot of examples. So we're going to start with Stephanie, listen to what she has to say. So thank you so much, Stephanie, for joining us. Here she comes.
Hey guys, it's really good to see you. I'm glad to be here and be a part of Thrive this week. And I just wanted to share just a little bit about how prayer has been used in my family, how just a couple times when we've had conflicts or struggles, we've been able to just turn to prayer and use that, lean on God rather than ourselves or not addressing the issue. I did grow up in a family where we believed in God and we went to church all the time, and there were lots of times when my parents would gather us together and we'd pray over important decisions we'd make or friends, but other times when situations seemed too big or too hard or my parents were really stressed out about things, it was us kids who would come and say, hey, we should pray about that. And sometimes my parents didn't quite want to because they were just stressed out like we all get, or at that point where they're not believing it would work. And I remember one time in particular, we didn't have any money for food, and it had been a while. My dad was unemployed and we were getting food stamps, and at that time they were actually like little stamps that you would tear off with different dollar amounts. And my little sister had said, hey, let's just pray about it. So we got the family together, and my dad didn't pray that time, it was just us kids. And my little sister, who was 3, prayed specifically that my mom would find $100 in her purse, because to a 3-year-old, $100 is like all the money in the world. But oddly enough, a few hours later after we prayed, when my mom was digging through her purse again, she found an envelope with, guess what, exactly $100 of food stamps for us. And I just remember holding on to that, and I'm thinking later in life when struggles came to like, hey, we should pray specifically about that. And other times during that hard season of life, my dad was really depressed and it was hard, and he was on medication that made him really angry. And so sometimes it was really difficult to be at home, and there were lots of arguments, lots of things not being said, because it was just easier to try to be quiet or not bring up issues to try to keep peace in the house. But I remember so many times praying or wanting to call but not wanting to get in trouble some friends of my dad who could come and kind of speak the truth into his life, or just let him vent and calm him down. And so a lot of times I would just pray and I would ask God to send Chris or Kurt over or call. And, you know, sometimes it didn't happen that day or the way I wanted it to, but eventually sometime during that week, one of them would contact my dad and things would be a little bit better. And so those were just different ways that my family came together and used prayer, or me personally, in ways that I've been able to see God answer the prayers and give me confidence for future times I needed to pray. Anyway, I hope you guys have stories. It'd be encouraging to hear some of them too. Thanks.
All right. Thank you so much, Steph. We just got to acknowledge right now that could you see us hovering transparently above, like we were like her shoulder angels through that. But it's just the software we're using. It makes green transparent. So
Yeah. So we were not laughing at Stephanie's video for sure. We really appreciate her video. We were just laughing at the comic nature of us appearing as her little shoulder demon angel figures.
Which one of us was which, though? I don't know. So yeah, Stephanie, thank you so much, giving us some kind of concrete examples and stories from your own life. I love the fact that God used your 3-year-old sister, all right? I mean, in a time when, just to remind your whole family of what faith looks like. And so it's inevitable that you guys are going to face challenge. And maybe you're in the midst of one right now just because of our given situation or something completely different. But you're going to have these times when there's struggle, when your parents go through struggles. And we have to recognize that as a family, we face this together. And so what prayer looks like, to invite that in, is incredible. And then to see the stories of faithfulness that will come out of it as they try to handle that. Because they could have just, tried to handle it on their own. But that step of bringing God into it, of praying together as a family or separately. I have some more stories. I had some leaders text me in just some of their own stories. And so let me pull that up. So Allie shared with us that one prayer that they had, part of their families for years, is a thing that prayer was a thing that kept them bonded, because she was here and they're separated by distance.
Yeah.
But so they committed to connecting across time zones every December to pause and pray for their family as a whole about struggles, blessings, remembering those who have passed. It was helpful for us to feel togetherness despite distance and focus and devote family to God. So it's kind of cool.
Yeah,
and
that's super cool.
They set time, right? They were deliberate to set time together and recognize what God had done in that whole time. So thank you, Allie, for giving us kind of a concrete example. Do you have an example from your kind of childhood or growing up about what does prayer look like in your family?
Absolutely. I grew up with my dad as a pastor, so we prayed often. We were encouraged to pray every day, and there'd be a lot of times where we would do devotions at night and pray together as a family. In that way, one time that kind of stands out to me is my dad lost his job at one point, and because of the foundation in prayer that they had instilled in me, and that they modeled themselves. And I saw my dad praying, my mom praying often. Like we all were just praying for the whole situation. And despite, my dad being without a job for a long time, eventually he got a job and is like doing a lot better than he was before. And there's some other stuff there that I won't really get into right now, but God really answered our prayers in that situation and provided in a huge way for us that we could not have imagined on our own. So,
awesome. Melinda shared a story with us too of just they went through a season of like 10 years where her husband had a job that was just tough, long commute. Kids were feeling like they weren't connecting with them, and they prayed for 10 years. And in that waiting, it opened the door for them to come join us here. They have their farm now, and now they have a job that they love, and they're seeing God work in some incredible ways. So that alone, just guys, the commitment to prayer, 10 years of not just, okay, I don't hear an answer, so you stop. No, that they as a family committed to praying through that and trusting that God had a purpose and he was going to bring it through. So sometimes we're really nearsighted where we want to see things now. Like you seniors, like what am I going to do come the fall? Am I going to school? Am I working? What am I doing? Can I even leave the house? And so okay, no, God's bigger than what we've gone through in the last couple of weeks.
Absolutely.
Trust him with what's ahead. And they continue to pray. What's awesome is that they now, after a message they heard, they've had this heart for children and thought that maybe fostering would be a part of their life, but just didn't come about. So after a message they heard here at church, they committed as a family to pray about that opportunity. And now he's opened that door for them to welcome foster kids into their family or going through that process. So again, it's great. So much of that is centered on prayer. And so guys, there's so many different examples and stories. Ask your leaders, ask your friends, what does prayer look like in your family? And I'd love to hear from you guys what prayer looks like in your family. How do you invite God into the struggle? How do you do it? Do you do it? Or do you ignore it till you hide, whatever it is? Yeah. So we're we've been having so much fun just chatting that we've already flown by an hour.
I know. It's been a long time.
But there is a story we wanted to look at. So why don't you just summarize kind of the story, the Bible character we're looking at, because we want you guys can maybe go read it on your own, but take us there.
Absolutely. And we've talked about him before. His name's Abraham. And if you want to follow along, we'll be looking through a couple chapters in Genesis. So if you took that time to grab your Bible, or if you have one on your phone, something to pull it out. Last week we talked about Adam and Eve and how their bad decisions created the fall of mankind, and how we all now experience this sin, and we all experience the brokenness of what families are like. And we also talked about, though, how God used them and how God's grace was more important and more powerful than their fall and their failure, and he was able to use them to do some amazing things. So today we kind of want to talk to the next big character in the Bible. His name's Abraham and his wife Sarah. And they went through a lot of difficult things, especially with Abraham's nephew. His name is Lot. Okay, that's the story we're going to look at. And it's in Genesis chapter 13. I'm not going to read the whole thing for you guys, but basically the summary is Abraham and Lot, God was blessing him a whole lot. And blessing a whole lot. And they were traveling around. They were nomadic, and God had given them a whole bunch of people that were under their care, and flocks and herds and tents, and they were very wealthy people. And everybody understood that these were really wealthy people. And they kind of, because of that, when they were encamped together, entered into their own little quarantine space, and they definitely got into some family fighting, especially between Abraham and Lot. So what happened was Abraham's like, okay, we need to separate. There's some land in front of us. They're like up on a hill, and over to the left is the Jordan Valley, and over to the right is the land of Canaan. And Abraham's like, I don't even care. I want you gone. Pick which land you want, and I'll go to the other one. And so Lot ends up choosing the Jordan Valley, which is kind of selfish because it was the nicer of the two, and bred some contention between them. But then Abraham ended up going to Canaan on the other side, and that's kind of where they were at. And
so
God used them.
Put your finger in there, and we're going to flip a few chapters to Genesis 18. And I just want to give you a little bit more into just the atypicalness of Abraham and his family, all right? And in here, we see that they're old, all right? Think grandma, grandpa, okay? But if you read through that story, they have some visitors that come, and they start talking about, they have children, and Sarah, she's outside the tent, and they're talking about this promise that God's going to give them, this promise of children, right? As many of the stars, right? Or was it sand? Stars.
As many as the stars in the sky and sand.
Yeah, both.
Both.
Yeah. So it's like, what? No. But she literally laughs, all right? And then they have like an argument about it. So think grandma, grandpa, okay? Imagine your grandma telling that God sent her a message to say she's going to have a baby. Okay, you're probably like, whoa, a little concerned over mental state, right? That's the message she's getting. So that's kind of just a little picture. We can go back to what's happening between Abraham and Lot, though.
Yeah, so that's definitely a good picture of what's going on there. This is right in the middle of what happens between Abraham and Lot. So they separate. Then years later, Abraham gets a message and Sarah gets a message from God saying, you're going to have a baby. They laugh, but then it switches scenes to Lot and God interacting with Abraham because of Lot, because where he moved to this place called Sodom and Gomorrah. They were really bad cities. They did some really wicked things. You can read about it in those chapters. And basically God says, okay, I'm going to go destroy these cities now, like everybody in these cities. I'm going to rain fire from heaven. I'm going to kill all of them, men, women, children, everybody. And Abraham is completely astonished that God's going to do that. And he's thinking about Lot and his family there. And he starts to pray to God. He starts to talk with him and say, Lord, even if there's like 50 good people there, will you not destroy the city? Even if there's 20, even if there's 15, even if there's 10, he gets down all the way down to 10, and God's like, yeah, even if there's 10 good people, I won't destroy the city. There wasn't 10 good people in the city, and so he still goes to destroy it anyway. But because of Abraham's persistence and his prayer for his family and for the people there, God does rescue Lot and his entire family. So he sends angels down there who come and extract them from the city as they go and destroy it, and as God rains fire from heaven on it. And we see that such a good picture of what an atypical family should look like, because Abraham and Lot are in this huge struggle over possessions, over wealth, over closeness, and then they separate for years, and they never resolve their conflict. And yet Abraham loves Lot enough to pray to God on his behalf so that he will not be destroyed with the rest of the cities. So that's a really good picture, I think.
Yeah, I could read that story and look at the conversation. I mean, it's a intriguing, like is he bargaining with God? Like, how does that look? And someday we'll do a series on different prayers that we see in Scripture, because it's really fun to see how different people interact with God. And Abraham was like a pillar of the faith, right, of who God used. So that lands us, like what you just said, the atypical families pray for each other. All right, not so typical families pray for each other. So just like Abraham saw prayer change his family for the better, to see that relationship and see God's hand work, every family has imperfections, right? Problems, struggles, but atypical families invite God into those. So maybe what are some ways that we could, that prayers don't have to be complicated, but maybe like simpler? What are some simple prayers that we could
absolutely
have for our family?
there's so many examples. I would encourage you guys to look at the book of Psalms and go through all these different types of prayers that like are just solely rejoicing, prayers that are solely just declaring how awesome God is and how holy he is, and prayers that even just like are angrily shouting at God about why he's not doing anything. Like, that's okay. That's an acceptable form of prayer. But if you don't even understand those as much, something super simple could even just be thanking God, right? Just thanking God for your family, even if you don't mean it, even if you are in the midst of your struggle, thanking God for providing you with the family that you have, because they're there for a reason, and God put you in that family for a reason, to use you for a purpose, right? You can continue by asking God to give you love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. Caleb was talking about the fruit of the Spirit last week, and how we use those in our families. And so ask God to give those to you. Ask God to give you the love and the grace and the self-control to deal with your families, even when you think that they are doing something against you on purpose. And continue by asking God to give you wisdom to resolve whatever conflicts you're in, and asking him to do the same thing for your family members, to give them the fruits of the Spirit and to give them wisdom so you can both enter into the conflict together. And finally, just thanking God for helping your family, understanding that he's listening to you, understanding that he cares for you, and that he's going to finish the good work that he started in you.
Yeah. And, you know, as you think about, if you look back, often we can think of times when we don't pray, right? We think like, no, I'm not thanking God. I'm not thankful, or I'm not asking good things or anything at all. But the reality that, man, if you think through maybe a recent conflict or an argument you had, if you had that wherewithal to stop and pray, how would that change your attitude, your perspective? Prayer can change your attitude. And how your temper, if you have anger that pops up, prayer can kind of be a way that kind of creates that buffer and allows us to see what's underneath, and maybe some of those issues we talk about in those different family makeups. And maybe, prayer could change the person that you're fighting with, right? Because they have their own issues. What if we pray for them, that God will work in their life? That would make a pretty big difference, I think. And ultimately what we see patterns develop, right? When you look at family, you see patterns. Oh, this happens, we're going to do this. Or we're not going to deal with this. We're not going to talk about this. We're just going to pretend it's okay. Whatever. I mean, our families, we do stuff like that. But as you recognize patterns, again, that's the way you can pray. What he said, what you can ask God for. If you recognize those, ask God into that to change those patterns of behavior, to show you how you can make a difference in that long term. But what can we do to take, this week? What's the response that we can finish with, Andrew, that kind of just puts us into action?
Yeah. Basically, the big point that, if you didn't remember anything else, remember that atypical families pray for each other. And we want you guys to really encourage you guys to take that first step with your families. Take that step of reaching out, despite your disagreements, despite your arguments. A lot of you in the polls said that you had argued recently with your family, and it's kind of fresh on your mind still, I bet. You probably had an argument today, some of you. Pray for them. Reach out. Don't be the person who just stews in the anger and lets the bitterness kind of rise up, but be the one to step out and pray. Be the one to say, my relationship with my family is more important than the feelings that they hurt at that time. So I think that the biggest thing is, not so typical families pray for each other.
What I want you guys to do, okay, if you actually grabbed a pen and paper, if you have your phone out, make a note. I actually want you to physically write down a family member, okay? Write down a family member. If it's that person you fought with, maybe take a few seconds, say, ask God, who do I need to pray for? Write that person down, okay? And then try to think of some things. What are some things that you can thank God for about them, or ask God on behalf of them? So not you, for them, okay? Write a name down. This week, commit to spending some time in prayer, in conversation with God, okay? I know a lot of us sometimes prayer is like this is weird thing where I don't know how to do it, but just do it. Block out 30 seconds if that's all you can handle, all right? Or 5 minutes. Set a timer on your phone. I'm going to be quiet. I'm just going to commit to praying. Whatever thoughts come in, it's okay. I'm just going to do it. I'm going to try to talk to God about this person that God's put on my heart and I've written down on this piece of paper, and I'm going to ask him for this or thank him for things about this person.
Yeah.
So that's your challenge this week. And next week, we'll continue figuring out Atypical Family. I think we're going to talk about conflict. Woohoo.
Sweet.
I hate conflict. I run away from it.
Yeah.
Why don't you pray for us, Andrew, and then we'll send people off.
Sure, absolutely. All right. Lord God, Heavenly Father, thank you so much. Thank you that we can spend over an hour just talking together and rejoicing with each other and just talking about how we interact as families together. Lord, I really pray that you'll put it on the hearts of these students to pray for their families, especially when they are in arguments and disagreements with them. Lord, I just pray that we all will do that, leaders and students alike, and we will continually grow to be more like you and to show ourselves and show our family and show the rest of the world that we are not typical people, because your grace is more powerful than what the world says or what we think, God. So I just pray that this will be impactful and that it will give a good perspective on prayer and what it looks like. In your name, Jesus. Amen.
Amen. All right. Thanks, guys. Man, we went long, but we still got 37 of you locked in. So we kind of have a core group now. That's cool. I think those of you guys watching, like, you guys are in every week.
Nice.
So it'd be cool. I mean, as we move forward, as this becomes normal, guys, I mean, we want to find ways to remind us that we're a family, okay? And that's where doing our fun videos, interviews, seeing each other on the screen, but showing up and actually being part of this live is so much fun. You guys commenting, that's so great. Remember, Mother's Day Sunday, don't forget.
Don't forget.
Okay, remind your dad, remind your siblings, do something nice, fold the laundry, do something you don't normally do, and bless them. And remember the prompt, okay? We'll send some stuff out on social media. This Mother's Day, I want my mom to know, mother figure, grandma, whoever it is, send me the video, your leader, anyway, but send us those videos this week.
Plus a selfie.
Plus a selfie of you and your mom.
Yeah.
Do it sneaky. If you can, keep it a surprise. That's great. We'll show it on we'll show it on Mother's Day. All right. So if you send them in, you have I'd love to have these by Thursday, so I have time to edit it nicely and make it pretty.
Yeah. So get them in quick. Yeah.
Yeah.
This will be a special Thrive event that we'll put out on Sunday.
Yeah. Do it tonight. Do it now. Think about it. All right. So thank you guys for watching. You're awesome. Remember, next week we also have the Amazon Wheel of Treasure.
Nice.
It's going to be fun. I
Absolutely.
can't wait. Anything else we need to remember, Andrew?
Yeah, definitely don't forget the rock, paper, scissors tournament.
Yes.
And we're filming those landscape along with the Mother's Day videos.
So send them all at once. Just do them all.
Yeah, do everything right now.
So once you send those rock, paper, scissors videos, I'll at least let you know who you're facing off of for the beginning of the bracket. So you know
There
who
you
you
go.
start with.
Yes.
Okay, so I'll let you know who you're paired up against. Send 3 of those. That way, if you tie, we can still get a winner.
Awesome.
It's going to be a lot of fun seeing who wins, comes out on top of that. So, Jessica, anything I need to remember? Nope. Awesome. Thank you, guys. We love you. We miss you. And happy Cinco de Mayo.
Happy Cinco de Mayo.
All right. We'll see you guys later.
Awesome.